Hi, Coach Jay. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Shar. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thank you. We're going to get started, but is it okay if do I have your permission to go ahead and record?
Yeah, by all means, please.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll just go through my introduction, then we can go ahead and get started. Hi, my name is Shar Jones, and I'm currently enrolled in the Leadership and Management course at GCU. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing Coach Jay, a professional youth football coach for the past 11 years. And today, we'll have a great focus on the principles of leadership, governance, and management. And my hope is really to glean insights on how we can bring our strengths together, being in two different sectors within the community and how we can work together to address the topic that I'm going to be going over today. So, in a recent class, Jay, we actually did a series of group assignments specifically around the topic of adolescent mental health. As you know, that's on the rise. It's an urgent topic that I think is really relevant to each of the states, specifically in California, in the area we're from, and the numbers are on the rise, right? So before we start, though, thank you again for meeting with me. I know you're super busy, and I just really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started. In this course, I really gained a lot of insight into my own personal leadership style, right? I'm a democratic leader. I tend to have traits of servant principles, looking at the greater good, the bigger picture, right? Can you tell me a little bit about your leadership qualities and what you see as your strengths?
My leadership qualities, I would say that I'm the type of leader that I like to get everyone involved. I like to make sure that we're all on the same page because um, I don't believe in just one person's opinion is like the end all be all. I
Sure.
like to make sure everyone's involved, get everyone's point of view because I believe that as a leader, you have to show examples of being able to lead a group with everybody's opinion involved.
Right, right. That's amazing. That sounds very similar to what I am, a Democratic leader. And so I think that that's really awesome, especially in the work that you do and working with other coaches. So through the assignment that I just kind of talked about, one of the things I identified is that there really isn't enough resources, right? When kids are suffering with mental health issues, and to boot, there's a lot of negative stigma around the topic, and it really impacts a lot of communities, but mainly vulnerable communities, especially where some of those kids may identify as part of the LGBT community, right? But they're adolescents I want to say around 5 to 14 is what you coach in that specific age group, and then especially in minorities, the numbers were staggering for youth that were either African American or of Hispanic descent. So I feel like that's a really big area or group in our area that would really benefit from the issue being addressed. And I could really see something like specialized training working in your arena. And I know in your line of work, a lot of training is required for coaches
Yeah,
specific to, right, sports injury, concussion,
yeah,
things like that. What
most
is your
definitely.
perspective on that?
I think that that's a great idea. As coaches, we're placed in a position where we are the major contact between an adult figure and a child. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
the in kids that I serve, a lot of homes don't have a father figure in the home, so we are that role. We do play a major part in providing comfort to children, being somebody that they feel that they could talk to outside of football. So to have that training or that specialized training in mental health would just be another tool that we could use in order to provide a better service for our children. A lot of times there's kids that feel like they can't go to their parents or they can't go to a teacher at school, so they
Right.
talk to. So to be able to recognize, especially recognize if a child is suffering mentally or having mental health issues, will be a great asset to coaches. And then be also being able to use that asset to kind of maybe come together with a counselor at a school and say, hey, listen, this child's suffering in this area, this is what he confided into me, to me, this and that, da da da, to provide better care for our youth.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. And I think the work that you do is so important because it's that extracurricular activity where no one's telling them to do homework. It's something that most of them generally love. And then you have the ability to capture their attention, right? And it's the exact
Right.
target audience. So I think
Right.
it's amazing work that you do. So kind of on the same token, with the kind of leader you are, do you see any challenges around, trying to implement an intervention like specialized training that would be required for mental health?
The only well, the only real challenge that I would see is getting the information out there.
Yeah,
Going different, it would be work. It would be a lot of work. It would be getting going to the different organizations, talking to the presidents. Having them understand, giving them the information and the knowledge and the understanding of youth mental health, and providing some sort of training course, because we have, like you said, we have a lot of training courses that we do go over, and a couple of those, you know, are things that we have to identify, especially with
yeah,
like protocol and stuff like that.
sure.
So, provide a course to coaches that will be able to assist a child that is struggling mentally. I think it would be invaluable. But like I said, the challenge would just be getting the information out there, getting it spread, not just youth football, but across all youth sports, I think would be the biggest challenge.
Right, right. I can certainly see that. I can certainly see that. I appreciate your perspective on that. And, I think when I think about the challenges specifically, I tend to focus on just the area that you coach, but you're absolutely right. If it's spread to your area, visibility is everything, right? So how do we get it out to everybody? So I could definitely see that and see that as something that we work together to address. One of the barriers I see just from my perspective as a Democratic leader, one of the things that's a key element of that is gathering insight, gathering input, kind of some of the things that you mentioned. So for me, one of the things that I see as a big barrier is getting too many of those perspectives. I mean, I think sometimes
Right.
we lose the forest to the trees, so to speak, that way. So I think it would really need to be targeted in our delivery, right? If it was something we collaborated on or we had the pleasure of doing the implementation on, I think really looking at culturally competent information that we get out there and really looking at the target audience and strategizing around what is the best way to do this, how do we kind of narrow the scope, right? So outside of that, though, I really do think it would be something beneficial for the youth that's out there. So
Yes, most definitely. Most
yeah.
definitely.
Is there
Gotta
anything more? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, going.
Yeah, I'm hoping that once this course is finished, it's definitely something I'm looking to kind of get folks on board. I just think it's super important. And, if we could save a life or save a child from the awful numbers that we see in suicide or prevent that is definitely something, I could commit to with purpose.
And that's a good thing that you are doing. That's a
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. We're hoping to do that anyway. But
Yeah.
I appreciate your time so much. Is there anything more you like to add or any other perspectives on the topic or just kind of in your community sector that
No,
you
I'd actually like to thank you for this interview. It's bringing something to light for me personally, that I can kind of carry on. I think that it's something that is very important, but also is overlooked.
yeah.
We kids are okay. You know what I mean? As long as they have their Fortnite and their chips, their cookies, that everything's okay. So it's something that, like I said, knowledge, awareness. I thank you for this interview.
No, you're very welcome. Well, I think that concludes our interview for today. So again, thanks for your time and yeah, if you guys ever need some public health perspective out on the field, you can let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charlene. You have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
All right, bye bye.
All right, so that concludes my interview, and I'm just going to take a moment to move on to my reflection of the course in part two of this assignment. So, to be quite honest and in full transparency, I really have to admit I was super anxious about all of these CLC assignments that we had to do going into the course. But one of the things I learned and gained insight about my leadership style was being a democratic leader, also kind of working towards being or having traits of a transformational leader with servant principles. I learned that it actually enhanced, this experience enhanced those leadership qualities for me. I learned that because I strive to achieve success, I'm a coach first. And so part of that mission for me is lead by example and set the tone of the project itself. And that was something I think I demonstrated strength with in my partner, or with my partner rather. We started out as a trio and ended up as a partnership. And I think it worked out really well. I think I was very blessed in the partner that I got. We communicated well. And I think that because I did gather, insights and inputs from him, we worked well on collaborating on different things required for each assignment. Specifically with the crisis management plan, I think we both kind of owned the plan that we, or the action step that we felt very strongly about, and were able to demonstrate that to one another. I also think that one of the strengths through my leadership style was being able to engage him in conversation, and him to do the same. And so through that, we were able to collaboratively work together to put together a great project. And with each week, one of the other things I learned is that it was like a building block, one after the other. So we built upon the foundation that was built in weeks prior. And again, I felt very blessed with the partner that I was assigned to. So thank you, Dr. Parker, for that. And we both contributed equally, and I think very much kept one another engaged. So going forward, I think as I progress in maybe leading some interprofessional teams. I do that today. But what I think this experience has done is really enhanced that for me and given me the confidence to continue to do that. It brought to light, I think, areas where I excel and then areas where I stand to improve, right? Nobody's perfect. And so I think building on some of the gaps that I've seen in myself, that I have seen in myself, those these leadership qualities I've learned more about will help to enhance those and kind of bridge those gaps. So I feel very confident in my ability to carry on what I've learned forward and continue leading, really with the mission of keeping the others' needs in the forefront and working on the greater good in mind for everybody. Thanks again for the opportunity. Have a good one.